Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation as usual, but with a twist. Today, we have two guests, Wendy Huffman and Howard Huffman, founding owners of Huffman Engineering in Nebraska. Wendy has been involved in running the day-to-day business since early in the life of the company. As CEO and CFO of the business, she works on internal operations, such as implementing the ERP accounting system and developing accurate project accounting and reporting. Prior to starting Huffman Engineering in 1987 with Howard, Wendy worked in the publications department for Resort Condominiums International, the Journal Star Printing Company, and was an English and journalism instructor at Nebraska City High School. Howard has been involved in engineering services for over 35 years. As president of Huffman Engineering, he has worked on countless electrical controls and energy management projects for customers in pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, meat processing, local foundries, food and material handling, refrigeration, and utilities with an emphasis on electrical utilities. Prior to starting Huffman Engineering, Howard served as plant maintenance engineer and department head for instrument, electric, and refrigeration shops at Eli Lilly. He also worked as a field service engineer for the power generation service division of Westinghouse. And lastly, Howard is a former two-term member of the CSIA board of directors and currently sits on the CSIA benchmarking committee. Wendy and Howard, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Let's get started with an easy one. Tell me how you would describe to lay people what you do.
That's not necessarily an easy one because people don't understand automation and controls. But we've told people in the past that we have a passion for making ideas work. That's our tagline, is to listen well and to make things work so that it's an easier process.
What we do is we put the brains into the body of industrial processes, and they make things such as medicine, water, make clean water out of dirty water.
So I talked a little bit about Huffman Engineering as a company, but could you please expand on the history and evolution of how Huffman began and how it's grown and evolved over the years?
When we were in Indiana and I was working for Eli Lilly, we were back in Nebraska and a cereal company here asked, do you know how to hook up a load cell to an Allen Bradley PLC? And I said, sure do, and drew it out. And they said, okay, this was Christmas or Thanksgiving, and they said, we want you to come out here and start a company. They flew me out from Indiana, I think in February, said, here's a PO, here's what we're going to do. And said, I'm finishing up my master's, beautiful Rose Holman, and I won't be out till the end of May. So they called me every several months. We moved back, and I went up there and said, here we go, ready to rock and roll. And they handed me another sheet of paper, said, oh, that project's been canceled. So first of all, welcome to the wonderful world of business. And that was also a hot stove lesson.
Yeah.
From the beginning, one of the things that we've been talking about in our history is that we've demonstrated a concern for others in the community. So even when we were in our infancy, we cared about what was happening to other people. And that even shows in our core values today. We cared about making other people successful, about making other people's ideas work. We enjoyed the challenge. One of our core values is simplifying the complex, and that's Howard through and through. He likes to take a complex problem, break it down, and make it work. And that's what we still do. Probably the biggest thing that we have said to one another through this journey is let's do the right thing. Let's do the right thing for our people. Let's do the right thing for our clients. And let's do the right thing for the community. And that still is part of our history. Sometimes people talk about this happened first, this happened second, this happened third. But I think one of the things that make us who we are is what made us who we were 35 years ago.
Is there any industry or product or discipline that you specialize in?
Yes, we work primarily in the Midwest with customers that are in the regulated industries, particularly in Nebraska, Colorado, and the surrounding states. We have a couple primary focus areas. One of them is utilities. That's electric utilities, LNG, water, and wastewater. We have another group that is primarily industrial manufacturing, life sciences, and food. We're in Nebraska, so those work well. We also do other projects for large local customers, such as brick making, irrigation production equipment, composite tanks, tire and rubber. Our boundary is geography plus technology plus client types.
What challenges are your customers facing right now?
Increased regulatory requirements, supply chain issues. Obviously, it's tough to get parts, and pricing pressures.
And really, I think our customers live in the same world we do. They have a lot of exiting talent and knowledge from their facilities. And they have a lot of people changing, moving. How do we keep our talent and our knowledge where it's at? So I think they're facing that just as much as system integrators are.
What would you say is unique about how you approach a project?
I think what's unique about us as the systems integrator, and we've been told this, is that we listen well. That we listen to the client, not just for what they say or what they think they need, but for what they really truly need. We don't force a package on them. We don't say, hey, this is what we've developed. We're going to make sure that you do this. We are really a one-up kind of a group. And so that makes us super unique, because what we do is we first listen, then we propose a solution that meets their needs, not necessarily always their wants, but their needs, and the best solution possible, both technical and financial. You know, people lean one way or the other. Hey, we have a schedule we have to meet. We have a price we have to meet. We have a technical need we have to meet. And if we can find a better way to do it, we will. As a result of that, and that's part of our model, is that we become one of the trusted advisors. We become the person that they're going to call as that trusted advisor, because they know that we're one of them. We're with them. We have that relationship.
One of the things that our clients have told us is that we have a consistency in implementing our project methodology. So they know that the project flow, the communication, and they will also get competent people on the job, no matter who the project manager is, who the people are. There's a consistency that they can depend on.
Let's talk about how much of your business is repeat. If you have that metric, I don't know if you do or not, but if you don't, just kind of give us a guess and why you think they do return.
It goes right back to what we're talking about. I would say that 90% of our clients have been repeat clients. And the reason for that are those relationships we talked about developing. We, for a long time, did only have one or two really big clients. Now we have probably 8 to 10 or more. But the people that we have that are our clients continue to come back to us because we've made those ideas that they've told us work. We've delivered on the projects we have said we would. We have a history of quality work. And then there's a professional trust that we've developed with them as a result of it. We do get called in a lot, especially for complex projects. Even though we have not a huge staff, we don't have thousands of people, we do have a lot of depth in our team. And we're willing to do the things that are tough. They're technically difficult. Maybe a schedule is really difficult. We're willing to tackle it when some other people say, I don't think we can do that. One of the things that Howard has said over the years is we want to become an extension of your engineering department. And we want to be that trusted advisor. We want to be the one that they call up and say, hey, we're thinking about this idea. What do you think? And that's probably why we have so many repeats. We have one client that has gone through maybe 5 transitions in these 30 plus years. Through that time, we've been consistent in that plant while the company's changed. I mean, it's a similar company, but we're still there. And I think that speaks to us knowing who they are and being able to be that extension.
Come closer, my little chickadees. I want to share a little known fact about CSIA membership. Are you ready? Here it is. This is the best time of year to join. Why? Because CSIA dues are prorated, which is just a fancy way of saying that when you sign up to become a CSIA member now, you will get the rest of this year and all of next year included in your membership dues. Plus, the same is true for any CSIA Industrial Automation Exchange upgrade or package. Of course, CSIA membership is value-packed no matter when you join, but it's kind of nice when you feel like you got a little something off the secret menu. You know what I mean? For more details, visit www.controlsys.org/shine. What are you waiting for? Let CSIA help you and your entire team achieve big things. Without naming names, unless you want to, tell us about a project that was super challenging and what you did to solve the customer's problem.
We face two kinds of challenges. One is that I just talked about, one's schedule, one's complexity. And one of the things that we did had to do with probably a little bit of both, but mostly schedule. There was a wastewater plant that had been flooded, and it was for a major municipality. We needed to get it back into service after this massive flood. And we had to deal with FEMA documentation requirements, EPA schedule requirements. And the client called us, even though other integrators, because it is a water wastewater, they had gone with low bid on several different things. We were the one integrator that they called to restore the automation equipment in that plant because they knew they could trust us.
Another one that we did, we recently automated a pharma powder system that had been operated using a lot of manual additions to each batch, mainly due to the small quantities, the material type, and the timing of the additions. We were able to control the feed rates, the timing, and the accuracy, and make it work. And the system has been extremely successful in both throughput, consistency, and reduced production time. They're making as much in one shift as they used to take two shifts to make, and their quality is way higher. We did a couple of automated testing projects for a customer that makes compressed natural gas fuel tanks, and we've done two projects with them here. Now they want to put the same test equipment in a different state that we don't normally call on. So we're involved in that state through our connections with them here.
What would you say is the smartest decision your company has made recently?
I have two of them. One of them is really getting involved in the CSIA. And this isn't just patronizing, but getting involved in the board, meeting different types of people, getting involved in the committees. You rub shoulders with some really good guys, and that's been very beneficial. The second thing that we have done is we've hired a management consultant to help us work and to grow, and he's been very valuable to look inside at what we're doing and say, here's where you need to focus. Wendy set up formal mentoring of the people here, and we have almost everybody in some type of book group, learning group, and the intentional and formalized mentoring has been very valuable.
How has Huffman grown or changed in the past year, and what do you expect for your company in the next 12 to 24 months?
How we have changed, we've improved our communications through frequent meeting rhythms, both with leadership team, with staff, with project teams, intentional training, intentional meeting periodically with customers and with vendors. Second thing is intentionally developing leaders and delegating responsibility. We have a saying, we want to let them brush up against the guardrails of failure. We don't want them to completely drown, but they've got to get their knees bruised, and they've done very well. We have better prioritization and scheduling as we've grown and had work and the shifting schedules. We're getting much better at that. And also planning contingencies. What happens if this stuff doesn't come in? Where do we shift people? Because you have to be somewhat agile to do that. Improving our job and task clarity. And when we were smaller, people knew what to do. Now you have to make it much more clear for them, and that works way better. What I see happening down the road is we see ourselves getting involved way earlier in the projects. We're doing conceptual designs, budgetary estimates prior to the money being released, or the project becoming official. And we're also taking more responsibility during the execution of the project, managing more subcontractors, becoming a client representative during projects. Wendy mentioned earlier that they have somewhat of a brain drain and they have to fill those areas, and we're filling some of them.
I have to applaud you guys for doing all this work. It would be easy, I'm sure, just to kind of get complacent and not lift up the hood and take a hard look at what you're doing with that management consultant. That's got to be a little painful sometimes when he's got things this is your baby, right? Nobody wants to be told this is how you need to raise your baby. So I applaud you for taking that hard look at it and constantly improving.
Actually, Lisa, we look at it as being stewards of this. And so you have somebody coming in and say, here's what you need to improve. And if we can't improve, we need to improve it because it's not about us.
What advice would you give to a prospective customer researching controls engineers or system integrators?
I would tell those people they have to decide really what they want. What do you want for this project? Too often, people look at price. When we give someone a proposal, and when somebody gives me a proposal for something I'm purchasing, the first thing I do is I look at the back page or the bottom where the price is. But that's not necessarily where value lies. And I would look for value. Decide what you want. Price and value are two different things. The next step is if you're really looking for value and you want somebody that's going to make your system work, check them out. Check out their abilities. Check out their background. Check out their certifications. What are they certified and licensed in? You want to get the right person for your job and for your application. And then check their background. What else have they done? If you're a pharmaceutical company, you don't want to primarily hire somebody who might be in oil and gas. They might be able to do it, but somebody that understands your business is going to be a better listener, is going to better understand what you want. And so check their abilities and backgrounds. And then finally, consider support. What happens when they're done with a project? Ask them for references to other companies. Are they there when things break down? How long does it take them to come out when you have a problem? Can they answer things remotely? How many people do they have on staff that will work with you? Things like that. So consider the support. So decide what you want. Do you want just price or do you really want value? Check their abilities and background, and then consider what kind of support you're going to get.
Adding on to what Wendy said about familiarity with your type of business, because industries are tribal and you want somebody that can speak your language, that understands your tribe. Second thing is review how do they do their project execution. Third thing, look for a partner. You don't want somebody that is merely a transaction. We came in, we did the work, we left. You want a partner. Like I said earlier, SIs deal with the brains of manufacturing. It has to work well. And I think another issue is they should evaluate the risk of failure or delays. In particular, in manufacturing, it could be millions of dollars a day. And if somebody doesn't adhere to schedules, doesn't follow through, it doesn't work well, it can be very expensive.
Quick question. Are you a CSIA member? If so, I need you to do something for me. I need you to go to www.controlsys.org/account and follow the instructions there to set up your new CSIA account. It's literally as easy as changing your password. And it will ensure that you won't miss any member benefits, such as the upcoming virtual event with ITR Economics. So please, take 2 ticks and get this sorted. If you don't want to do it for you, do it for me. Because my boss said that if I don't get you on board, I will have to start cold calling. Ugh. Please, don't make me do that. And if you're not a CSIA member, what are you waiting for? Let's get this party started. What kinds of trends and challenges are you seeing in industrial automation right now?
First of all, the amount of documentation, testing has gone up dramatically. There's also a much greater involvement of more people in every project. It used to be you would deal with one project engineer and that would be it. Now you have QA, you have validation, you have production. Everybody's involved, and I think it makes for a better project. It just makes it more difficult to meet the schedule. We also find that the testing and documentation is critical. in particular, being involved in regulatory industries, because somebody is going to evaluate it. And the training that they want for their people, it used to be kind of on the fly while you're doing checkout. Now it's formal training. And I think it's important that their people know how to maintain it. So some of the challenges, finding and developing competent people, equipment supply issues, security issues. It used to be mostly what you were concerned about was a disgruntled employee doing something, so you'd lock the control cabinets and everything. And now there are intentional malicious attacks by people that you'll never see. And so that's bad. And really, the goal is to make the project work, and not just make it work, but while it's working, give information for the people so the operators know how it's working, and if something fails, what failed, so maintenance can fix it well, and the plant managers can see how are we doing, how much are we making, how much is it costing us. There's big information transfer that's different than it used to be.
What makes you optimistic about the future of the industry?
What makes me really optimistic about this industry, it was so new when we started. And there were so many things we've gone through, such an evolution of technology since we began. The thing is, it isn't stopping. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep growing. There is always something new. And I think that's what systems integration firms do. They embrace things that are new and exciting and cool. So that's going to continue to happen. It's not going to stop. And because of the position that we're in as systems integration firms, we are in a unique position to give back to communities, to give back to individuals, to give back to the groups that we live and work with and in. And because we have that, people aren't going to stop that. The other thing that I really see as optimistic, a lot of people complain about young people. And they complain about, the Gen Xers, the Gen Zers, and things like that. I have seen amazing young people. They care. They care so much about their surroundings, about people around them. They care about this technology. They care that they're making a difference. And they're brilliant. Most of the young people we've hired are absolutely brilliant, wonderful people. So that makes me really optimistic because they're carrying what we're doing into the future in a better way. There's a lot to do. There's safety issues. There's cyber attack issues. There's reliability issues from aging infrastructure. There's all kinds of things going on, but they're tackling it in a way that's really positive and really does give me hope for the future of this industry and for them too.
I agree. I think the younger folks sometimes get a little bit of a bad rap, and that I have experienced some amazing young people myself in my career and in my life. So I agree with you 100%, Wendy. Why did Huffman become a member of CSIA?
Back in 2000 or 2001, one of our competitors called us up and he said, Howard, I'm involved in the CSIA and you should be too. So we don't have any money. It's a tough time. How are we going to go? Next year, he calls me up and said, Howard, the conference is, I think it was in California this year. And he said, you're going to be going and either I'm paying for it or you're paying for it. So I went there and I realized there's a whole bunch of people in the same space as me, having some of the same issues, working through the same problems. And I wasn't the only one that really didn't know what they were doing. I think we've been to every conference since then. And the other thing, at that time, you had to be certified to get insurance. And so we went through the certification, and then we realized how valuable having somebody come in and audit you, kind of like going to the doctor, saying, here, this is good, this is bad. You need to work on this, then you fix it, and you get better. That's how we became a member of the CSIA.
What would you say is the biggest member benefit that you get from CSIA?
I've got a couple, but first one is the help you get from others and the privilege that you get to help others. Now, the certification, I've already talked about that. It has made us much better business people, which is exactly what it was designed to do. And I'm very thankful that we have a roadmap to say, if we follow this, we will get better. And then lo and behold, you follow it and you get better. One of the things CSIA says is you get 10 ideas and you give one, and it's organized support for our industry.
All right, so I've got one last question for you. I hope it doesn't start a domestic. But what advice would you give to other families thinking about starting a business together or just working in a family business in general?
First of all, it's not easy. It is difficult because your personal lives, your business lives, they're intertwined. And there's a cost. There's time, there's setting aside your ego, there's money issues, because there's times when you can't afford to go to the CSIA conference. You're wondering if you're going to lose your house. So those are difficult things. I think the critical thing that has helped us, one of the critical things, is having an outside set of eyes helping us out, knowing which way to go.
You know, the one thing Howard didn't say is that you have to have a common goal or at least some common beliefs. I think that having a common faith for us has been really critical. And sometimes you need somebody to help you, no matter how great you think you are. And most engineers think that if you follow step A, B, and C, that it's going to work. That's not necessarily true. We needed the outside help of CSIA to improve and to have us look at different things. We have looked at other family businesses that were successful and gotten advice from them. And we've chosen other avenues for help as well. We both belong to business forums. We've had business coaches, mentors, webinars, other training. And really, honestly, I would say that we also ended up just going to counseling because we have two things going on. We have a family that we have to maintain, and we have a business. And those two things are hard. We can acknowledge that they're hard, and it just helps. It helps to have somebody who is not us to tell us what we need to do. And the focus that we've had in this entire journey is that we've never stopped learning and growing. That has to be key to continue to go, no matter who's in the business. In fact, all of our employees, that's one of our emphases is, and that's one of our major awards, is somebody who's grown and grown a lot and has made that intentional effort to grow. That's what we see as being a really key thing to go on this journey together. And we understand that there really isn't an end. It continues to be a journey. And if you are on this because you want to retire at 55 and play, it might not work for you because you have to embrace the journey as much as you embrace the end game. And the end game isn't always what you expect. So you put it aside and enjoy the journey and learn to embrace the journey that you're on.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you're interested in learning more about Wendy, Howard, or Huffman Engineering, you can find them on the CSIA Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Wendy and Howard, for joining me today.
Our pleasure, Lisa. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.